The world's biggest leaders invoke him as a response to crises today.
It's time to heed the words of Gandhi. Intolerance is itself a form of violence and an obstacle to the growth of a true democratic spirit.
Gandhi is somebody really phenomenal. I think you must all read his works. You must remember that change through non-violent means was not ever thought of before Gandhi.
But has Mahatma Gandhi been all but forgotten in name by India's politicians? To be sure, there are enough symbols to remember him by. For instance, the ubiquitous Gandhi topi, a symbol of the freedom struggle continued by the Congress, has been adapted first by the Anna Hazare movement with its own slogan, "I'm Anna too." And now that it's split, Arvind Kejriwal has got his own version. So what is it they are tapping into? Especially as many question whether they genuinely follow Gandhi's political philosophy.
You don't become Gandhian by wearing a Gandhi topi. You want to attract people by telling them you have a simple solution. I think it's also taking us for a ride, and that's completely un-Gandhian.
Even today, Gandhi and the imagery surrounding the Mahatma is still alive. We only need to look at the Telangana protests or how the Congress is planning to use the Mahatma against Narendra Modi's pitch for Swami Vivekanand in the Gujarat elections as the most recent examples.
We go through all the motions, as you said, certainly the symbolism that's involved. We sometimes use the language of satyagraha, but Gandhi always said that it's the inner soul that matters.
Politics in India has become crisis-ridden. It has lost its direction, and we are far from following the path of Mahatma Gandhi.
Some, of course, like the Samajwadi Party MP, facing 40 criminal charges ranging from assault to murder, are honest enough to admit that he is no Gandhi in politics. A few weeks after his assassination, Nehru warned, Mahatma Gandhi's death has weakened our political and social fabric. It is all the more incumbent upon all of us to subordinate our little selves and work together for the country's good. For a man who stood by the principle of be the change you want to see in the world, his ideas and thoughts are relevant even today. But whether we choose to open our eyes to his vision or not is another matter altogether. With Bureau Inputs in New Delhi, Kate Kiangre for NDTV.
So how do we actually make Mahatma Gandhi relevant in today's political discourse? His message, of course, relevant but forgotten, it seems, by our netas. Joining me tonight is Sudhindra Kulkarni of the BJP, also author of the book Music of the Spinning Wheel, Mahatma Gandhi's digital Swadeshi, really, as he talks about his message being reinterpreted today. I'm also joined by Mayank Gandhi, a member of the Arvind Kejriwal group, who's of course launched a new political party today on Mahatma Gandhi's birth anniversary. I'm joined by Rajiv Vora, prominent Gandhian scholar, also preeminent interpreter of his famous works, and Rajat Kapoor, who played Mahatma Gandhi in the Shyam Benegal movie, The Making of the Mahatma. Sudhindra Kulkarni, as somebody who is already in active politics, you've written this book on Mahatma Gandhi's vision and reinterpreting it for the internet age. But the fact is, in the politics of today, and we had the Samajwadi Party candidate be very clear about it, where's the place for Gandhi Giri? I mean, many would say that in today's politics, Mahatma Gandhi couldn't win an election.
Yeah, today's politics is largely bereft of ethical values, which were the basis of everything Mahatma Gandhi pursued in his life. So, all those who are in the political movement today, irrespective of the party they belong to, the organization they belong to, have a responsibility to cleanse politics. Clean politics, ethics-driven governance are the need of the hour. Otherwise, we will be failing the people and also we will be fooling ourselves. Mahatma Gandhi continues to be more relevant today than he was. What I have tried to explore in my book is how he is relevant even for the internet age, the internet community. there's a misconception that Gandhiji was opposed to science, technology, modernity, which is completely untrue. He was deeply scientific in everything he pursued, and the more you understand the internet, the more you realize that he was indeed a visionary of the digital age.
Let me bring in Rajiv Voraji, as I said, a Gandhian scholar. When we look, we've seen how President Obama, Aung San Suu Kyi, even Apple's Steve Jobs, are all inspired by Mahatma Gandhi. Why is it that at home, the country of his birth, even in people would debate in a state like Gujarat, where is the ideology of non-violence of Mahatma Gandhi, as our political discourse even is becoming more and more violent?
Look, Mahatma Gandhi, we have often associated with non-violence, but we have forgotten that non-violence was means to achievement of Swaraj, right? And we have totally debarred this term Swaraj, through which this nation must understand every phenomena in its corporate and private life. This term has been debarred.
How
this
should you define Swaraj in today's context? What would you see as Swaraj in today's context?
In today's context, what we see, that the freedom has come in terms of independence, but has justice come? No, freedom has come to some. This is the main predicament of Indian national life today, that one, we don't have any national consciousness. If we talk of any Indian national consciousness, it is neither Indian nor national. Secondly, that the freedom came to a handful of people who are powerful in the position of power. Wealth and power both are concentrating and threatening the very fabric of democracy. And because freedom has only been restricted to a section of people, therefore the large sector of the society is suffering with injustice, and they are revolting, rightly so, and they are taking to violence. In '69, we had only one district where Maoism came, right? And in these many years, it has multiplied to how many? More than 200 districts.
Is this the India of the vision of Mahatma Gandhi? Really, and look, in remembering that, Rajat Kapoor, if you can come in here, the series of films made on Mahatma Gandhi, it's actually ironical that it's talked, Mahatma Gandhi is talked about more when there's a new film being released or a new book being released about him. But why is it that you see the points raised by Mr. Rajiv Vora as well, the actual ideals by which Mahatma Gandhi lived, his thoughts, his writing on politics, on national institutions, on governance, that is completely forgotten?
Sonia, I think one very important aspect that we need to look into is that a lot of our education books in history only talk about Gandhi's struggle for freedom. They don't even throw light on the social fabric that he brought, the change that he brought about in the social fabric of our country, which I think is so far relevant and so progressive and futuristic. You know, even something like health and hygiene, you know, our dignity, our respect for labor, these are the kind of things he incorporated in his personal life, and we need to start within. And I don't think, well, so-called Gandhian philosophy or his way of thinking is actually being taught in our education system at all. It's only the fact that he was a father of the nation and he helped get our country free. And I think somewhere there, we, our generation, the one above us, somewhere we've gone wrong.
In fact, Mayank Gandhi, if you can come in on that point, Anna Hazare with his Satyagraha was hailed by some as a modern day Gandhian. Yet we see again today the kind of rift where he says politics is like dirt, and he's cautioned against actually getting into it, and Arvind Kejriwal and your group for actually getting into it because he fears this dirt can actually spread. Is that the reality, that to redefine politics doesn't mean for electoral politics of today would not be Mahatma Gandhi's politics, yet you all have decided to go ahead into this? Why is that?
See, let's not look at Gandhi as just electoral politics versus non-electoral politics. Anna, while being a great soul, is not a patch on Gandhi. I mean, Gandhi is Gandhi, a huge man. And the question that arises is, what would Gandhi have done in the circumstances in which we were, when thousands of crores are being looted, this country is subjugated to so much misery, so much poverty, so much pain? I am sure the first thing he would have done is got into the fighting. I mean, I listen to the Gandhians talking all the time, but my question to the Gandhians is, what would Gandhi have done at that time? I am sure he would be leading this movement and not stayed away from the movement. one can debate, is this the way the movement goes? Would Gandhi have done the movement like this? Fair enough. But Gandhi would not have stayed outside and given lectures about how movement should be done. Gandhi would have been in the thick of the battle and fighting for this country. Even if it meant that he would have to go into politics, he would have done that. So when we talk about Gandhi, let's not talk about his symbolisms, his khadi, and what Gandhi's philosophy is to fight for the nation in the best possible non-violent way, and he would not be sitting outside and prophesying and philosophizing how
Mahatma Gandhi would never have been a bystander. He would have been an active participant.
Absolutely not.
For him, politics was all constructive activity in a sense. Is politics of the country.
Look, in 70s, we all fought alongside Jayaprakash Narayan. I was in charge of the entire Satyagraha aspect of the movement, so I know what is fighting. But I also realize that the decadence within the society, because of the type of governance we chose and the westernization that we chose for, has disintegrated our society to the last unit of it so much that any patchwork at the top would not work at all. We need to work for at least 50 years or 70 years, as Mahatma Gandhi said that it has taken 150 years for the destruction of India. Give me at least 75 years. Nobody has patience to work at the grassroots, and just to, blame Gandhians wouldn't work if one doesn't know what Gandhians are doing and at what grassroots level, that what building blocks they are creating. This is what is necessary. In 1925, as early as that, after non-cooperation movement in that, Mahatma Gandhi said that now this is the time to work out the meaning of deliverance rather than waging any great Satyagraha movement. This is the meaning of Swaraj, that how, what would be the political system, what would be the economic system, what would be the education system, and what would be the social reforms in the moral upliftment of an individual through religion and spiritual forces, so that this society starts rising from the below. Only at the level of state, movements, anger, everything is justified. But it is irresponsible to ride on the anger and passion of people and then encash it politically without making any preparation for the basic building blocks of Indian polity. And nobody has that theorization today. Mahatma Gandhi needs to be theorized like that first, and several experiments at grassroots level for the success of various models. We need to undertake that.
In fact, Mr. Kulkarni, we've seen that ironically when the term Satyagraha today, whether it's the Anna movement you referred to, internet Satyagraha, we've seen now that more and more Satyagraha, whether it was in Khandwa, today in Gwalior they're launching Satyagraha after the Jairam Ramesh and Mr. Scindia had gone there to meet them as well. The Satyagrahas are increasingly against the political class. That perhaps is a tragedy of India today when we talk about the Satyagrahas in Gandhi's time against the British Raj and now against the political Raj.
There's a need to understand the key Gandhian phrases, Satyagraha, Swaraj, or even Swadeshi, more deeply than is done. Take for example Swaraj. Swaraj is normally understood as political freedom. Gandhiji fought for India's Swaraj. But what actually Gandhiji meant, Swaraj, is not just self-rule, but rule over self. That is, each individual self, each collective self, the community, the family, the nation, should have a certain control, rule over self. If we are unable to be morally controlling ourselves, then we are unfit for freedom. So responsibility and freedom go together in the concept of Swaraj as Gandhiji understood, which is so very clear in the first text he wrote in 1909, Hind Swaraj. So Hind Swaraj did not just mean, freedom for India, but that every individual should be morally guided, should be morally submissive to the greater values of truth and non-violence. That is something which we have largely forgotten, more in the political establishment, and that is why we are facing all these problems today.
Rajat Kapoor, come in here, the practicality of it, because we keep talking about how you can't look at this as confined to electoral politics, but the issue of governance of India does actually hinge on this issue of electoral politics, and whether it's about educating the voters, whether it's about people who are perfectly happy to SMS and protest, but are not people who are willing to perhaps change at the grassroots, give of themselves the kind of sacrifice that Mahatma Gandhi did and other freedom fighters of that time. How viable is it today as well?
It's tough, it's difficult, but I do agree with Mr. Kulkarni that we have to start ourselves. We have to be the change that we want. It's so easy to point fingers at others, but are we doing that in our immediate environment? With the people who work for us, with our own families? We got to start within, and I don't think there is an alternative to that, because you can't achieve that holistic approach on that macro level if we don't start at the micro level, and I quite believe that. It's tough, it's not easy because we've let so many years go by, so it's going to be even tougher, but we got to start somewhere.
Where would you see the way ahead actually? When you see, as you said, the Gandhi topi in some ways seems to have become almost farcical. We had Rahul Gandhi say a few years ago that now the Gandhi topi is associated with politicians and corruption. So in a sense that the farcical use of symbols has also outlived its use in a way?
Totally. I mean, just by wearing khadi, you don't become Gandhian at all. But have you, what I've been hearing on the panel just now, Swayam Par Raj, self-control, self-reliance, self-sacrifice, they are tough for the youth to kind of imbibe today, but it has to begin, and we have to start even through, as I said earlier, through the education system. We as parents, as teachers, have to begin that process for our children. Because if we don't do something now, then I think it's just going to get worse. And and it's not, we don't have an easy country to deal with the kind of diversity we have in our country. No other country in the world has the kind of problems we have. So our challenges are tougher.
Mayank, Gandhi, interestingly, the Gandhi topi also there with Arvind today, of course, it's gone from Main Hoon Anna to Main Hoon Aam Aadmi. Mr. Vohra making that point about encashing for electoral politics, but what about looking at the larger national vision? We know Mahatma Gandhi thought extensively on every aspect of public life. In that sense, the vision of the party seems slightly half-baked, your critics would say. The question on essential commodities, the question on other issues of how you will actually change India seems restricted to lal battis and pricing of essential commodities being determined by public participation. There are no real solutions laid out.
No, what this is not a solution generating machine that we will put up solutions. What we are trying to do is build up processes. The processes right now that we have are the centralized processes, and we are trying to create a decentralized process by which people would start, and this is pure Gandhian. And one more point which I wanted to make is, now suppose in this condition, in this country, if Gandhi comes now, then I would remember what Gandhi said in 1920. He said that the time is over for andolans, for petitions, for marches, for things. This time is now for direct action. And I think if we don't make the party, then I think we would not do what Gandhi would have done. Gandhi would have gone in for direct action. Changing oneself is an ongoing process, but Gandhi did not just keep on changing himself, he fought the British. So this government, this entire political system is much worse than the British system, and I think we need to fight it, and Gandhi, if he was here, would have been in the forefront of that.
Final words, Mr. Vohra?
No, I think, our young people are very bright, and I think even with this team of Anna, which is now disintegrated, I mean, look, the entire debate, unfortunately, about their political intervention and direct action has finally boiled down to what? Lal Batti. And it shows the, immaturity, which is very unfortunate, because this is bright people. They could have worked very well had they rather kept away from this immature and premature jumping into politics. They could have done much greater service because they are brighter, committed people. There is no doubt about it. But point is, that the state has a responsibility to the poor which it is not fulfilling at all. People need to stand up on their legs, not giving them the doles, right? So therefore, you know, a nation and a community can become stronger. Mohtaj dusri ki na bane. Therefore, the very idea of self-reliance is a big idea. It is a rational thinking. Mahatma Gandhi has been cast into somehow an irrational mold by the modern rulers and intellectuals. I mean, is it rational to, for example, have such a huge distance between producer and consumer, so that something which can go very cheap and one can easily make available is so expensive for people that most of the people are not even able to avail the minimum things of the life? I mean, this economic order is most irrational. The political structure is a structure which we have unfortunately inherited from the British. Whereas Mahatma Gandhi wanted to destroy this structure completely and recreate a new structure about which he talked in his last testament and will. And that could have been the biggest guarantee against corruption, not this local, which is a monstrous thing.
The irony that we look abroad really for our models, when back home we have international leaders looking here. We do have to end this debate, but I think the biggest tribute perhaps to Mahatma would be that politicians, people across parties come together on this day, not another party fighting against another, but perhaps redefining politics as we talk about it today. Thank you so much, Mr. Rajiv Vora, Rajat Kapoor, Mayank Gandhi and Sudhindra Kulkarni for joining me tonight. Let's just move on to some other news, and of course the big story in aviation. Kingfisher has declared a partial lockout. The CEO met with the Director General of Civil Aviation to discuss safety concerns and other issues. The larger question, however, is this now the writing on the wall for Kingfisher? How long can they last with just 7 planes and no payment of salaries? And is it bad news for India's aviation industry if Kingfisher actually shuts down?